what's important. Here we go. So this is a set of sorting cards. This is pretty basic. This is like tier 2. I would have tier 2 students doing these sorting cards. There's titles for each property. The cards go with. Not all titles, not all properties have the same number of cards. So it's a little bit tricky. When the students are finished, they can scan a QR code, and then that brings them straight to a picture that I have of the answers. Or you can post it on your class website just to show the students what the layout is when they're done. Then it's self-check, and we can discuss off-task, on-task, cheating, copying later, okay? So just at its best, tier 2, I would probably keep a few of these for tier 3, and then as a group of us, or as 2 groups of 4, then they could work together to look at each one and identify the property without having to be overwhelmed by sorting the entire set. After tier 2 feels comfortable with sorting the examples with the property titles, I might pull out this game for them and say, you're on my property. So this game, they have a mat, and they have 1 mat per 1 partnership, and then they also have sorting cards, and they each take turns, and they can put 1 card on whichever example they can identify to match with whatever card they have. So once they get 4 in a row, then they win, but the partners have to check each other and they have to agree. You can also pit 2 partnerships, tier 1 partnerships against each other, and you can say, okay, well, partnership 1 is going to work on getting all the cards in the right places faster than partnership 2. So just as I'm sitting here thinking about what kids can do while I'm trying to work with my low babies, my ducklings, what can my tier 1 students be doing? They could be competing. Those are the kids that want to compete. They could be playing a game, because those are the kids that are gonna like figure out how to play the game and then not be bogged down by the content. I can have them make a foldable. I can have them fill out graphic organizers to Frayer models. I'll link a Frayer model document in my presentation. And then I would have them make their own thing. So maybe they realize that, you know, this game, they feel like they played this game, you're on my property, and they don't like some of the examples. Well, they can come up with their own examples. They can make a memory match game. I also have dominoes, which can work with any vocab definitions for any content. So you have dominoes, and they look like this. Okay, I keep them in envelopes. I bet some of these are also in bags, because beggars can't be choosers, and you just gotta do what you gotta do, okay? So these are super, super cool, because like regular dominoes with the dots, you can match the number of dots to the next one that has the same number of dots. These are the same thing, except you're matching an example to the property. So you can have a definition matched with a term, and then when they're all done, you lay all these out and they're connected in a train like dominoes. This is great for floor work. I don't know what it is about being allowed to work on the floor. Students love it. And then your tier 2 students can eventually do something like this, and tier 1 students can make their own. And then that you just have to watch and make sure they're not using your examples. But if they're creating something and they're putting the effort into it, they're going to learn something. Okay. So you might notice that none of those things necessarily produce a product for you to double check with your students. So I would say this is a pretty overwhelming setup. So you have all these things. I have lamination, I have cutting, I have envelopes, I have folders and binder clips. You could just have a more difficult, less straightforward, more rigorous worksheet for tier 1. And then you can have tier 1 students make quizzes for a partner, swap, and then make an answer key and then check each other. Okay, so that's easy. That's no setup. That's making a worksheet, making sure the directions are clear, and going. And then tier 2, they can do a modification of that worksheet for tier 1. Maybe a little bit easier matching at the top, and then some level 1 questions, level 2 questions, and then you get higher as they go through the worksheet together. They'll get higher on the Bloom's taxonomy, apply, instead of just understand, recall. They're going to start to synthesize at the bottom. And then tier 3, again, you can use that same worksheet, or you can just use a set of these sorting cards, because having the cards to manipulate will help those students grasp the concepts if they're kinetic learners, because our kinetic learners are often the ones that aren't doing anything in the classroom except writing notes. So you have to kind of make sure that you're meeting the needs of your lowest level in all ways.